What's happening? It's John from Wild Punk Band Wrecked. Here's another video. Wednesday night. I figured I'd record something a little different than my previous videos. My previous videos are mostly about vinyl that I've had. I don't have anything new. I have a few things on order, so in a couple weeks when that stuff comes in, I get a chance to listen to it. I'll put that up. But this one's a little different. I figured I'd talk a bit about about my guitars. I've been playing guitar since 1989, somewhere around there. I have 13 guitars that I've collected over the years. I've gotten rid of a few. I think I've gotten rid of about 4 or 5, and I'm not happy about it. I really don't like getting rid of gear for some reason. I always regret it. I got rid of a Marshall Head JCM 900 once for like $400, and it's haunting me to this day. I wish I had that amp back. Anyways, this here guitar is my number one. This is a 1992 Gibson Les Paul Standard. I bought this new at Sam Ash in Carl Place for $830 when I was 16. Rewind a little bit. At that point in my playing, the guitars I owned a Gibson Explorer and a Fender Strat. My guitar teacher tried to dissuade me from the guitars I really wanted. The guitar I really wanted was a BC Rich. It was BC Rich Warlock, BC Rich Ironbird, BC Rich Bitch. The Virgin was cool. Mockingbird, any of those I wanted. They were pointy. They would look metal, and that's what I wanted. The American-made BC Riches are the only ones BC Riches that are any good. But the ones they were selling at the time in the music stores were NJ Series. They were Platinum Series, Bronze Series, and they were shit. And I had a bronze Warlock, and it was a piece of garbage. So anyways, my guitar teacher, he was always telling me, hey, the next guitar you should get should be a Les Paul. And I would look at him like, come on, man. I'm like, that's like an old person's guitar, it's classic rock. And none of the guys that I was looking to emulate played a Les Paul. At the time, the guys I looked at was Kerry King or Jeff Hanneman or John Christ from Danzig, Max Cavalera from Sepultura, the guys from Morbid Angel, the guys from Obituary. Everybody played those, either Jacksons or BC Rich, and that's what I wanted. I really did. I still want one to this day, actually. But like I said, at that time, I remember the American-made Riches were probably around 1,500 entry level. To get your foot in the door on an American-made BC Rich was about 1,500 if you could find one, and which was a lot of money then. It's a lot of money now, but I mean, comparatively, it's not. But so when we were talking about guitars, my guitar teacher would tell me, get a Les Paul. So I'm all right. I'll play one. So my father and my mother, never forget it. We went to Sam Ash and Carl Place. I played this guitar right off the rack. This is the actual one I played. And I felt it. It's heavy as fuck, but it felt great, and it had a great tone. I played it through a dual rectifier, and it was like, I'm like, wow, this thing sounds great. So I was either get this or I was going to get the Sunburst model, which was another $50, but I ended up getting black because I needed a guitar I could play heavy metal with, and you weren't playing heavy metal with a Sunburst guitar, just you weren't doing it. So I had to get the black one. So anyway, I did, and it served me great. It served me great for a bunch of years, and then probably in the late 90s, I noticed the guitar wasn't staying in tune. So I brought it to a guy down in Wantor. He's not there anymore, but he was really good, and he wouldn't screw you on anything. He's very honest, and I would say, listen, this thing's not staying in tune. So he took one look at it. He goes, yeah, well, there's a reason why. I said, why is that? He goes, your frets are shot. I go, frets are shot. I'm like, the guitar is, at that point, 7 years old, like how the fret shots. I have other guitars that are older than that, and they're not. He goes, no, it's something with the fret wire Gibson used. It would get these divots in it. I mean, even now this guitar now has a little bit of it, but back then they were bad. He goes, it's not never gonna stay in tune no matter what you do. I see, he goes, it needs a complete fret job. I'm like, oh man, what's that gonna cost? He told me $600, quoted me. I was like, fuck, $600. I'm like, I paid $800 for the guitar, $600. So I went home and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, it's at the time, it's my favorite guitar. What am I going to do? So I thought about it for a bit. And at the time, I was really into the Allman Brothers Band, particularly Dickie Betts and his tone. And I'd read all about it, see how he got his tone. He played a like a gold top Les Paul. He also played some Paul Reed Smiths, but it's a gold top Les Paul. He had Seymour Duncan's pickups in it. So I was like, all right, well, let me talk to this guy. So I talked to the guy in Wanto. I said, listen, man, if I do the fret job, how about if I give you some pickups, if I give you, some hardware, can you put that on for $600, everything? He's like, yeah, I'll do it. So for $600, he refurbed the guitar. He put on Grover tuners right here, the kidney being 70s tuners. I lost the backing on that. You see that? I don't know where that's been gone for years. But they put Seymour Duncan. This is a Pearly Gates here in the bridge, and a 59 model in the neck, just like Dickie Betts, So he also did, if you check it out, the neck pickup, the slotted screws should be towards the neck, but they're towards the bridge. So it's in backwards. It's supposed to give you a warmer tone. I don't know. It's a great sounding guitar though. And recent years I should say, with Wrecked I haven't played as much because the tone is a little dark. It's a little too bottom heavy for me, for the band, not for me, but for the band. So it really doesn't cut through a mix. So I haven't used it. I thought about getting different pickups in it, but I have other guitars that do the job. But for some reason, I always come back to this guitar. Just to feel it, it's heavy as hell. Mahogany body, maple cap, mahogany neck. And it's just, like I said, everything on this guitar has been replaced except for the knobs and the pickguard, pickup rings, truss rod cover. Man, everything else has been replaced. The bridge has been replaced 4 or 5 times. Stop bar, 3 times. The switch countless times. The pots were swapped when I did the pickups. These are the original knobs, though. I like the way the gold is on it. Input jack, I swapped once. But anyway, so I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about putting maybe a set of burst bucket pickups in it. Those are really good. I have those on my Flying V, and they still have mid-range. They still have the high end to them. They don't get buried. But again, like I have the Flying V for that. So if I just keep this the way it is, maybe I need to set up. But other than that, it's a great guitar. And in closing, my choice in guitars always comes back to Gibsons. And I own 13 guitars. I own 5 Gibsons. I own 2 Gretschens, 2 Ibanezes. That's 9, and 4 Fenders. And I love them all. But honestly, if someone put a gun to my head and said, pick one, I'd pick this. I wouldn't be happy about losing the others, but, I'd pick this guitar. Again, I'm a big fan of American-made guitars. It's not a racist thing. And I got into an argument with a guy years and years ago, a guy I played with in a band, and he's like, oh, my Epiphone is just as good as that. I'm like, listen, if you know anything about guitars, and it took me a while to really know what makes a good guitar. And for me, for what I like, for me, it's a mahogany body. It's a set neck, no bolts, set neck, mahogany neck, humbuckers. It's got to weigh something. This thing weighs, I don't know, 12 pounds maybe. But you can buy an Epiphone that's made in China, and it's going to be a Chinese guitar. It's not going to be an American-made guitar. You could swap everything on it. You could swap the tuners, because you're going to have to. You can swap the bridge and the tailpiece. You can swap the pickups, which you're going to have to. But again, it's just going to be, a Chinese guitar that's no good. And it's not a knock on the country. It's just the way it is. America makes the best guitars, in my opinion, with Japan second. My Gretschens are Japanese made, and they're great guitars. My Gibsons are obviously all American made. I have a Mexican Fender Jaguar, and it's borderline. It's not great. Not worth the money I paid for it, I'll tell you that. And I've played countless Mexican Fenders, and none of them are up there in playability or quality. I did play a Japanese Telecaster. My boss has a white, I think it's a 92 anniversary, 40th anniversary maybe. And that guitar plays better than any Telecaster I've ever played. And I played a bunch. I have 2 Telecasters. I have a Japanese and I have an American. And his Japanese, best playing Telecaster I've ever played. And I've played a few. And over the years, like I said, I've played a ton of guitars. Now, in my opinion, the American-made guitar is the way to go, just for quality. And yeah, you're gonna pay a little more money. That's life. You get what you pay for. The way I equate it to is, if you want a Coach bag, you know, you can go get a Coach bag, or you can go into into Manhattan, into Chinatown, and buy a counterfeit one. At first glance, it's might look the same, but when you get it in your hands, it's not the same. You know, and there's a price to pay for quality. And people can talk about Gibsons and how they're shitty quality. I've played a ton of Gibsons, and I have never put my hands on one that was that bad. One of my buddies had a wine red Les Paul Custom that I wasn't happy with, but I didn't like the guy that much anyway. So maybe that was it, you know. And I don't like red. Red's not a good color for guitars for me, or anything for that matter. I like red. I like oxblood red. If I can get an oxblood Les Paul, that'd be pretty cool. But other than that, or red SG, I'd play. But to me, it's Gibson's. So yeah, this is my first Les Paul. I have 2 Les Pauls. This is the number 1. And my videos after this, I'll get into the other guitars that I have. But this is the one I want to talk about first because this is my favorite. Again, it's played every band I've been with. I've played it. It's been to almost every show. And it's still going, and needs a setup now, but it's a phenomenal instrument, and I'm so happy I paid $830 for this thing. But hey, thank you for watching. Future videos, I'll show the rest of my guitars, and we'll take it from there. Thank you. Have a good night.